Good day and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a treat. We're going to be filling up some springform pans, making a variation of a chocolate silk pie. It's kind of a cross between a cheesecake and a pie. It's yummy. So, welcome back to the Farm Cook channel. This is the place where you get to eat well, have fun, and hopefully learn lots, especially about low carb and keto cooking. So now, let's get ready and make some dinner. So today's recipe is going to be a chocolate silk pie, which is a variation of some of the stuff that I was making pretty recently. The last video that I posted was on a chocolate mousse, and I enjoyed that a great deal, but I was thinking about this chocolate silk pie that a friend introduced to me years and years and years ago. Really yummy stuff. It's made with crushed up chocolate cookie wafers that form the crust. And there's this beautiful, silky, creamy, chocolatey filling that goes into the pie, gets frozen, and then defrosted, and you slice it up, and it's awesome. So I was thinking about the chocolate mousse variation that I had done previously, and also thinking about using a different pie crust for this pie. And I thought if we could crush some of those cinnamon roasted pecans that I use pretty regularly, get those crushed up with a little bit of melted butter to put into some springform pans, we could fill it with a filling that includes, that's basically that chocolate mousse filling with a little bit extra cream cheese. So that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be awesome. So for this recipe, we're gonna start off with some cinnamon roasted pecans. I do these, I get 2-pound packs of pecans from Costco, and then melt some butter, cover them in the butter, toss them in the oven until they're nice and toasty, and then take those warm roasted pecans and toss them in a mixture of cinnamon and allulose. And this is what you get afterwards. Delicious, tasty, full of good fat pecans. Great to snack on, awesome crunch. What we're gonna do is drop, I don't know, 1.5 cups, 2 cups into the food processor. And by the way, this is just an approximate. You can choose to use more or less depending upon how much volume you want to make. I happen to have 3 of these little guys, so I'm making up what I think will be the right amount for the springform pans that I have. Obviously, if you have a bigger pan or a bigger need, use more. Get these blitzed. And you don't want them to be completely pulverized. You do want a little bit of texture, but it should be broken up pretty well. That looks pretty good. That's that. Couple of pieces are still pretty good sized, but like this guy. There it is. I'll be right back. Need the melted butter. That's about 4, maybe 5 tablespoons of melted butter. Just gonna get them all integrated. And mixed together. And this is what we have left. Sort of a ooey gooey mixture that is going to be awesome in these little springform pans. So that's what I'm gonna do next, is just drop this stuff into here. All right, this is the final product, I guess, prior to cooking. That crushed up cinnamon pecan mix with the butter. It's gone into the bottom of the springform pans. We have 3 of these guys. That's all that I had access to right now. The recipe actually would work for 4 of these, but I just stored the rest of the crumb mixture in the fridge for later on. These guys are going to go into a 375 oven for about 10-12 minutes until they start to get a little bit golden. They're already kind of golden because they were previously roasted, but get a little bit of color on them, get them to stay together, and this will be the base for our chocolate silk cheesecakey kind of pie. Set it for 10 minutes and we'll have to check. Let's check. Ooh, they're looking good. Golden, brown, and delicious. So let's get these guys out, let them cool off. Turn off the oven. And while those guys are cooling, I think it's gonna be time to make the filling, which is gonna be amazing. By the way, I just have to say, I'm not a baker. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm a pharmacist, which means I know how to read directions and weigh and measure things. So that's all I'm doing, is sort of figuring stuff out, trying it out, and hopefully making something that's really tasty. Been working on this recipe for a bit, and it's turned out very nicely. So, time for the filling. Now it's time for the filling. We've got a pretty good sized bowl, a cup of heavy whipping cream. Want to get all the goodness in there. And we're going to use our handy dandy mixer to whip in a bunch of air until we're getting some pretty good peaks that are holding on to their shape. So this is only going to take a couple of minutes. Start off slow, otherwise you can get kind of a mess. And then just increase the speed until you can get safely get air whipped into the cream to make whipped cream. It's going to take me a minute. I'll be right back. At this point, I am going to mix in the sweetener, which is a half a cup of allulose. I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla extract, about a teaspoon. I'm also going to add half cup of cocoa powder. Now, I don't know if it's critical. Again, I'm not a baker, but the recipe that I sort of abstracted this from suggested sifting the cocoa powder, so that's what I've done. So there aren't any lumps in there. So hopefully that helps with the final texture. And again, because you've added a bunch of stuff, it makes sense to start slow, otherwise you might spray some of this cocoa powder all over the place. And the cocoa powder is sort of acting like a thickener. It's already getting super thick and creamy. Now that things are mixed, I've increased the speed. Look at that. You can see how thick it is. It's very much like the mousse that was on the previous episode. But we're going to add cream cheese to make it even thicker and creamier and even more delicious. So this final product has very much has a cheesecake kind of character because of the amount of cream cheese that's being added. But because I'm kind of a lazy guy, I didn't feel like baking, didn't feel like making up a water bath. And you certainly could follow, whatever your process is for making cheesecake and just omitting the sugar and using a sugar substitute like allulose. You do you. This is just what I'm doing. And I gotta say, turns out pretty nice. Let's get this guy open. Get him incorporated. Everybody in the pool. And those 2 packages of cream cheese were sitting out on the counter for about an hour, just softening up. Still sealed. So thick and creamy and delicious. Got to mix everybody around. But it doesn't take long. Again, if the cream cheese is softened, it only takes, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute to get everybody mixed. As long as your mixer is up to it. So what I'm going to do is scrape the sides down, make sure everything gets mixed together. And then drop this into those molds that are cooling. They need a little bit more time to cool. But this is going to be yummy. Can't wait. All right, so let's take a quick test. Make sure we're in the right ballpark. Super thick, super creamy, but also light and fluffy, much like myself. Man, that is good. Totally edible as is. You could just have the batch of this, use that as your dessert treat. You don't need to go to the step of dropping it into the pie tin and then throwing it in the freezer, which is the next step. And after it freezes completely, defrosting it and then enjoying it. You can enjoy this just as it is. If you wanted the crunch, you could take those pecans that I crushed up and used to make the pie crust. You could just fold them in, put them on top, and have that and just be done. I'm going to go the next step and finish making this pie thing. So stay tuned. After you take that filling, mash it into your springform pan. This is the final product. So I've got 3 of these guys. What I'm going to do is take these, put them in the freezer for a couple of hours, and then let them defrost for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then slice them up and enjoy them. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. They're going to be so good. This is the final product. It looks awesome. It looks like its own little cheesecake. Kind of is. And all we're going to do now is run a knife around the inside of the pan, sort of loosen things up a little bit. And then release the springform hounds. There's a little bit that's stuck, but not too bad. And there we have it. What I'm going to do is just try and slice this up. And by the way, this was a previous version of the recipe that I was testing and found out that it works. So it's just a little bit different. In the crust, I didn't use as much butter, and I got slightly larger pieces, so the crust turns out a little bit differently. Here we go. Oops, and the crust stayed behind. Oh, that's a bummer. Oh well, it happens sometimes. Let's get this guy Over. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I used made some changes to the process, which I showed you in the earlier video, is to try and get the crust to adhere a little bit more. But here's the final product. It's ooey gooey. Man, so good. I'm gonna grab a little bit of the crust pieces that that fell off. So yummy. Very close to a cheesecake in character. Similar flavor. Not quite the same texture because it's not baked. This is the only thing that's baked is the crust. So there's so many things that are reminding me of cheesecake, except it's not the same sort of texture that you get from something that's baked. It's creamy, it's rich, it's chocolatey. It's very, very good. Oh my goodness. The crushed pecans, there's a little bit of cinnamon in the that was on the pecans before they got crushed. Man, is this good. Give this a shot. If you're trying to satisfy a sweet craving and trying to be good and stick to that keto diet, this works. In fact, I'd say if you brought this to a party where people are just enjoying themselves and not really caring that much about what the food is that they're eating, people wouldn't bat an eye at this at all. It's awesome. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Thanks.